He left me for her and took everything but the child he didn't know wasn't his. 18 years later, I invited him back into our lives, not for reconciliation, for revelation. The night Daniel left, the rain didn't stop. It slid down the window pane like it was trying to erase the reflection of the woman staring back me. I was 27, barefoot, clutching a pregnancy test that still smelled faintly of ammonia, to pink lines, and an empty driveway. He'd said he was going to the office, but his office was a hotel room in the next town. With her name was Claire. Though back then I refused to say it out loud. Saying her name made her real. She worked in Daniel's company's marketing department, a bright, smiling thing who thought coffee stains were romantic and loyalty optional. He didn't just leave me. He left the version of me that believed in him. I called his phone once that night. He didn't answer. I called again. Then I saw the red delivered tick fade into read, and my stomach turned to water. That was when I learned silence is louder than any scream. The next morning, he came back, not to stay but to collect his things. He was careful, cold, like a man rearranging evidence before a trial. I can't do this anymore, Anna, he said. You deserve better. That word hung in the air like a joke only he could hear. I wanted to tell him about the baby. Instead, I watched him zip up his suitcase. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. He kissed my forehead gentle, like I was already fading, and walked out the door. The sound of it closing was the first thing our son ever heard. I named him Ethan. Daniel never knew raising Ethan alone wasn't the punishment. It was the cure I didn't know I needed. His laugh healed things inside me I thought were dead. But every birthday candle, every fever, every parent-teacher meeting, Daniel's ghost was there, whispering what he'd missed. And then one day, when Ethan was 6, I saw them, Daniel and Claire, on the cover of a local business magazine, Power Couple of the Year. His smile was the same, hers looked borrowed. That magazine became my callback symbol. I didn't throw it away. I folded it neatly, put it in a box, and kept it at the back of my closet. Every year, I'd look at it once. Not to hate them, but to remember. That box grew heavier as Ethan grew older. Until one day, I realized it wasn't a box of memories. It was a blueprint. Because revenge, I learned, isn't rage. It's patience. And I had 18 years of it. The day Daniel called again after 18 silent years, I already knew exactly what I'd say. The first ring almost stopped my heart. The second one made me smile. Anna, it's Daniel. That voice, lower, slower, still carrying the same arrogance disguised as regret. I don't know if you've heard, Claire passed away last month. He paused, waiting for sympathy. All he got was silence. I thought you should know, he added. A small laugh escaped me. Why, you think I light candles for your losses now, he sighed. I deserved that. I wanted to reconnect. Maybe me, Ethan. I froze. He didn't say our son. He said Ethan, the boy he'd never met. I could have ended it there. Told him the truth. Closed the book forever. But I didn't. Because in that moment, I realized something. I could use him. Maybe, I said. He's always wanted to meet his father. That was the point of no return. The moment I let the past breathe again just to kill it properly this time. Daniel came over 2 weeks later. He'd aged well. Life had been kind to him. To kind. Sharp suit. Polished watch. That same cologne that used to linger on my pillow. When Ethan opened the door, Daniel froze. He didn't say a word for nearly a full minute. You look just like your mother, he finally whispered. And I smiled, because he did. We sat in the living room, the same one Daniel had once stormed out of. Ethan asked questions. Daniel answered with half-truths and nervous laughter. I watched. I took mental notes. After he left, Ethan turned to me. He's not bad, Mom. Just sad, sad. I wanted to tell my son what sadness really looked like. But I didn't, not yet. Because something in Daniel's eyes that day told me this wasn't just guilt. It was need. And people in need are easier to break. 3 nights later, he called again. Can we talk? We met at a cafe halfway between my town and his office. He told me he'd sold his company. Retired early. Claire had left him a fortune. But he didn't want money. He wanted peace. I stirred my coffee slowly. Peace isn't something you buy, Daniel, it's something you owe. He nodded like he understood. He didn't. That night, when I got home, I opened the box in my closet. The magazine was still there, his smile still shining from another life. I tore the page in half, then folded his face and slipped it into my purse. It was time. The next morning, I found something on Claire's old social media account, something Daniel clearly didn't know existed. Her page had been inactive for years until now. A memorial post. Hundreds of comments, photos I'd never seen. But one caught my eye, a boy 17, maybe 18, standing beside Claire, tall, sharp jawline. Daniel's eyes, my pulse quickened. They had a child, except Daniel had never mentioned him. Not once. I clicked deeper, every tag post, every hidden caption, and there it was, a graduation picture. Proud of you, Adam. Your father would be too. Your father would be too. Past tense. Daniel didn't know, or maybe he did. And she kept the boy hidden from him just like I had with Ethan. I leaned back in my chair, the screen glow flickering against my face. Claire had built a lie inside his lie. A secret child. A shadow family. And suddenly, my revenge found its shape. I reached out to Adam. Not as myself, but through a false mentorship program Claire's charity once sponsored. I posed as a volunteer. He responded quickly, polite, curious, lonely. We talked for weeks. He told me he'd always wondered about his father. I told him that some fathers only understand love when it's gone. He agreed. He sent me a picture one evening, him holding a watch. Mom said this belonged to my dad. I want to find him one day, I smiled. I knew that watch. Daniel wore it the day he left me. I started weaving the threads. Daniel wanted to meet Ethan. Adam wanted to meet his father. And I wanted them both to collide under my terms. But before any of that could happen, I needed one more thing, proof. I contacted a private investigator, someone discreet. He owed me a favor. Within days, he confirmed it. Adam was Daniel's biological son. Daniel had no idea, perfect. The storm outside that night reminded me of the night he left. Same smell. Same thunder rolling in the distance. I poured a glass of wine, stood by the window, and whispered to my reflection, let him feel what I felt. Then I smiled. They didn't. The next morning, I sent Daniel a message. I think Ethan would love to meet your family. He said yes immediately. Of course. I'd love that. He had no idea what he was agreeing to. The plan took shape quietly, like fog filling a room. I invited him to dinner, told him Ethan wanted to meet the rest of his father's family. I made sure Adam was invited too, under a different pretense, a scholarship event hosted by a friend of his late mother's. 2 boys, same father, neither knowing the truth. Daniel arrived first, punctual as always. Nervous smile, flowers. He placed them on the counter like an apology. Then the doorbell rang again. I opened it and Adam stepped in. Daniel turned mid-sentence and froze. Color drained from his face. It was like watching a man recognize his own ghost. Adam, he whispered. The boy frowned. Do I know you? I set the table silently, pretending not to hear. But every clink of cutlery was a countdown. They sat across from each other. Daniel kept staring, his breathing shallow. Adam, confused, asked questions Daniel couldn't answer. Finally, I broke the silence. Funny thing, isn't it? Two sons, one dinner table. The air snapped. Ethan looked between us. Mom. What are you talking about? Daniel stood up, voice trembling. Anna, what is this? I met his eyes. Calm. It's called truth. Daniel, something you forgot to serve 18 years ago. He reached for me. Please. Not like this. But it was exactly like this. Because this dinner wasn't about feeding hunger. It was about letting the past eat itself. The storm outside grew louder. Adam stared at Daniel. Ethan stared at me. And I watched the man who once broke me realize he was the architect of his own ruin. When Ethan whispered, Mom, he's not my father, is he? The real storm began. Ethan's question hung in the air like a blade suspended mid-swing. Mom, he's not my father, is he? Daniel froze. His lips parted, but no sound came out. I could see the truth clawing its way up his throat. I took a breath, steady. No, sweetheart. He's not. Ethan's chair scraped backward. Then who is? Someone who loved us enough to stay, I said softly. That's all that matters. Silence. Then Daniel's voice, low, shaking. Anna, you used me. I laughed, but it wasn't joy. Used you? Daniel, you used me long before I learned how. He slammed his hand on the table. The sound startled Adam. Does he even know what you did? That you raised your son? I cut in, yes. I did that very well, didn't I? Ethan looked between us, eyes wide, confused. Adam pushed his plate away. What's going on? Daniel turned to him, eyes wet. Adam, I think I'm your father. The boy blinked. My father's dead. Claire lied to you, I said quietly. Just like he lied to me. The storm outside cracked like an angry god. For a moment, no one moved. Then Ethan stood. You both lied. To me, and he walked out. The door slammed behind him, wind howling in its wake. I wanted to go after him, but Daniel grabbed my arm. You planned this? Yes, I whispered. Every second, he stared at me like I was a stranger. And maybe I was. He left soon after. No threats. No promises. Just silence. But I knew that silence. It wasn't retreat. It was regrouping. And that night, as I watched rain streak down the same window he'd walked away from 18 years ago, a flicker of something unexpected curled under my skin. Guilt. It tasted like rust. 3 days passed, no calls from Ethan, no messages. Daniel tried. He left voicemails, some pleading, some angry. I didn't answer. Then, on the 4th night, my phone buzzed, a single message. Ethan, we need to talk. He was waiting outside the same cafe where Daniel and I had met weeks ago. When I arrived, he was sitting with Adam. I told him everything, Ethan said. He deserves to know the truth too. Adam nodded, eyes red. You both played with people's lives. He wasn't wrong. Ethan leaned forward. Mom, why? Because justice never feels like justice unless someone watches it happen. But I didn't say that. I wanted him to feel what I felt, I said instead. To lose everything that made him feel safe. Ethan's eyes glistened. You made me part of your revenge? He stood up and walked away again. This time, Adam followed him. And I sat there, alone, in the echo of everything I thought I wanted. The next morning, Daniel sent me a photo of him and Ethan smiling. The caption read, "We're talking now. I didn't plan for them to find each other." That part wasn't supposed to happen. But guilt, I've learned, is contagious. Daniel had found his new way to repent through my son. At first, I told myself it didn't matter. He'd vanish again soon enough. Except he didn't. He started showing up. School events. Weekend breakfasts. He was careful, respectful. Too careful. One afternoon, Ethan came home and said, he's helping me apply for college. He's actually not that bad, Mom. That hit harder than I expected. Be careful, I said. He's good at pretending. Ethan frowned. So are you? I didn't respond. That night, I poured myself a drink and opened the closet. The box was still there. Letter now like it knew its purpose was fading. I unfolded the magazine. The one I'd torn in half. Daniel and Claire, power couple of the year. The edges were soft now, faded from years of handling. I stared at their faces. Then, slowly, I lit a match. The flame crawled across the paper, eating smiles, devouring promises. Smoke rose, curling like a memory leaving for good. That should have felt like closure. It didn't. Because revenge doesn't end when the target breaks. It ends when you stop needing them to. And I wasn't there yet. A week later, I received an invitation. Daniel's handwriting. Dinner, my place, for Ethan's sake. I almost laughed. He was copying my playbook. But curiosity is a dangerous thing, so I went. His house was quiet, elegant, a life rebuilt on top of old ruins. Ethan greeted me at the door. Nervous, inside, Daniel stood by the window, a drink in hand. Thank you for coming, he said. I just wanted peace, peace. That word again. Dinner was civil. Forced smiles. Polite words. Until Daniel raised his glass. To forgiveness, he said. I stared at him. Don't confuse forgiveness with forgetting, he nodded. I haven't. That's why I have something to show you. He placed a small box on the table. Inside was the magazine. Not the burnt one. A new copy. Framed, you kept yours, he said softly. I kept one too. As a reminder that none of it mattered, my throat tightened. He wasn't taunting me. He was surrendering. And for the first time, I saw not the man who left me but the man who lived with that decision every day since. Something cracked inside me. When I got home that night, Ethan was waiting. He said, Mom, he's sick. And he didn't tell you. Daniel had cancer, stage 4. Ethan told me between sobs. He didn't want pity. He said, he just wanted you to know he's sorry. Sorry? That word had lost all meaning years ago. But something inside me shifted. The anger that had fueled me for so long started to feel hollow. I went to see him. The hospital room smelled of disinfectant and fading strength. He was thinner, pale. The watch the same one Adam had hung loose on his wrist. He smiled when he saw me. Didn't think you'd come, I sat down. Neither did I. Silence settled between us, heavy but not hostile. Finally, he said, I thought I was punishing you by leaving. I didn't realize I was sentencing myself. I looked at him. He meant it. I raised your son, I whispered. Loved him. Protected him. You don't get to take that from me. I'm not trying to, he said. I just wanted him to know the truth before I go. He reached for my hand. For a moment, I almost let him. Then I stood. Truth isn't something you give, Daniel. It's something you earn. I left before the machines could start beeping faster. Outside, rain started to fall. Always rain. That night, I found myself sitting in Ethan's room. His trophies. His drawings. His laughter echoing in my memory. He walked in quietly. Mom, he said. He asked for you. I nodded. I know, will you go? I looked at the magazine, ashes still faint on my fingers. Tomorrow, I said. Maybe, but I never did. A week later, he was gone. They buried him beside Claire. Ethan and Adam both attended. They stood together. Half-brothers who didn't ask for any of this. I stayed at a distance, under a tree. The wind carried fragments of their voices. When they left, I walked to the grave, placed something at its base, the charred corner of that magazine piece. I whispered, you finally got it, but I didn't. 2 months later, a lawyer called. Daniel had left something for me. The envelope was heavy, handwritten. Inside one letter and a key. His handwriting was unmistakable. Anna, I know I can't undo what I did. But you deserve the truth, not just revenge. The house is yours now. Not as payment. As closure for you. For Ethan. For everything I broke, Daniel. I held the key in my palm for a long time. Cold, heavy. Like the past itself. Ethan came into the room quietly. What is it? An ending, I said. He looked at me tired, grown beyond his years. Do you still hate him? I thought about that. About rain, and fire, and all the nights I spent plotting ways to make Daniel feel what I felt. No, I whispered. I just don't need him anymore. That night, I drove to the house Daniel left me. It was empty, echoes of lives that never truly belonged to anyone. I walked through each room slowly. In his study, I found another photograph of him, Ethan, and Adam, taken just weeks before he died. They were smiling, genuinely smiling. I didn't cry. Not right away. But when I did, it wasn't for him. It was for the years I spent being defined by his absence. As dawn broke, light spilled through the window clean, quiet, forgiving. I placed the key on the desk. That same key Daniel once used to lock me out of his life. Now unlocked mine. I walked outside, feeling the morning air brush against my face. For the first time, it didn't taste like revenge. It tasted like release. In the distance, I saw Ethan and Adam by the car, talking. Brothers now. Bound not by blood but by truth, I smiled. A small, tired smile. Because in the end, revenge didn't destroy him. It changed me. And sometimes, that's the cruelest kind of justice there is. I touched the key in my pocket, the one I took from the wreckage. This time, I didn't keep it as a weapon. I kept it as a reminder of who I chose to become after the storm. The night Daniel left, the rain didn't stop. This morning, it finally did.